And I feel that we are increasingly making little boys feel ashamed of who they are.
Det handlar ju alltid om, när man pratar om genusforskning och annat, att få fram just problematiken kring kvinnor. Att vi är jobbigt, vi är utsatta. Så att redan innan man börjar forska så har man bestämt sig för att det är kvinnorna som är drabbade.
I'm starting to think that the psychiatric community needs to include feminism in their big compendium of mental disorders.
Ström. Pelle Billing.
And I feel that we are increasingly making little boys feel ashamed of who they are. In many classrooms, as a colleague of mine has said, increasingly elementary schools, junior high schools, and even high schools are run by women for girls. Boys are there on sufferance.
Där vill genusforskarna ha in 50% män i förskolan bland personalen. Och det vill ju svenska genusforskare också. Men då kritiserade svenska genusforskare att norska, belgiska och de skotska genusforskarna ville av fel skäl. Nämligen att män hade något att tillföra egenskap av män.
Boys growing up today don't know what's going on behind the scenes. All they know is that they're frustrated. They're being smashed down. They're being told that what they have to offer is not needed.
A very popular storybook is the tale of two giraffes who are sad to be childless until they come across an abandoned crocodile egg. I've read this book and I can tell you it's a beautiful story. The crocodile grows up and realises he could not be blessed with two more loving or delicious parents. Obviously, there's a shortage of this kind of literature, so I've come up with my own set of children's books based on the classic favourites. Instead of The Cat in the Hat Comes Back, I've gone for The Cat in the Hat Comes Out. We've also got The Fox in Socks, which is now The Fox in Docks. And my personal favourite, Green Eggs and Ham, is now Green Eggs and Wham. Yeah. The school's director says, yes, there are biological differences between boys and girls, but that doesn't mean they can't have the same interests and abilities. But I don't know. I've done a lot of babysitting in my time, and I have never seen a little girl with either the interest or the ability to put a donut on a doodle. That's it, friends. I'm done. I'll see you next week.
Thank you very much, Kitty Flanagan. Always a pleasure.
Particularly if you have children, this means, if it's at all possible, get them out of the public schools, which are really indoctrination centers.
If you ask the gender scholars, their solution for them is that, well, it's something with masculinity. We have to change boys' masculinity. And for years there were efforts. It was actually kind of sad, I mean, because the boys would not cooperate, but there were these massive efforts to make the boys play more like girls.
You're back with the project.
Some more news, and Sweden has gone to extremes to encourage sexual equality from an early age. It's opened the gender-neutral preschool Agalia in Stockholm, which bans the words him and her and doesn't allow toys or books that create gender stereotypes.
Stay calm, Steve. Kitty Flanagan joins us now from Sydney. Tell me, little lady, do you think we need more of this sort of thing in Australia?
Yeah, I do, Charlie, because forget about building sites and the Defence Force Academy. Kindergartens are your hotbed of sexism. And if you don't believe me, then allow me to quote Garnamy Casper. No, he's not a philosopher. He's a boy I went to kindy with, and he said, boys are strong like King Kong. Girls are weak. Chuck 'em in the creek. To my face, he said that. To this day, I still can't walk past a body of water without thinking, man, I am weak. I should be chucked in there. That sort of thing wouldn't happen at Agalia. They've banned the use of the words boys and girls. Instead, they use the word friends, something they also do in Queensland. No matter what your gender, they just call you mate. G'day, mate. How are you, mate? I'm good, mate. But it goes further at Agalia. They also don't use him, her, he or she. Well, that's dumb. Soon Sweden will be full of children who don't know how to use personal pronouns. They'll be saying, Jürgen was running and then it fell over and hurt its knee. Can't talk like that, it's rude. Listen, excuse me, Charlie, can you ask Dave if it has a question for me?
I don't know, does it?
It does. So, Kitty, what about nursery rhymes? I mean, I can't imagine these kids are allowed to tell Polly to put the kettle on, yeah?
No, you're right. Way too sexist, in the same way that when Wee Willie Winky runs through the town, they no longer mention his Wee Willie or, indeed, his Winky. Instead, there's a lot of focus on books that include gay, lesbian, bisexual and transgender people. One
projekt som fick 11 miljoner från Vetenskapsrådet vid Uppsala universitet. Det är en kvinna som heter Margareta Fahlgren och hon är såklart föreståndare för Centrum för genusvetenskap, men hon har också påtänkt som rektor för Uppsala universitet väldigt snart. Det är inte säkert att det blir hon, men sannolikheten är väldigt stor. Och då har hon fått en beviljad ansökan på nästan 11 miljoner för tvärvetenskapliga forskarmöten. Och då skriver hon så här i projektansökan. Det senaste decenniets utveckling vad gäller förståelsen av sex, gender inom naturvetenskap respektive genusvetenskap är i mångt och mycket till synes motstridiga, vilket skapar ökade spänningar mellan forskningsområdena. Vi vill ta dessa spänningar och konflikter på allvar, problematisera dem och undersöka möjligheterna till kunskapsutveckling genom överskridande av ämnesgränser mellan natur- och kulturvetenskaper. Naturvetare kan vara ovana vid vetenskapsteori och kritik och frågande inför varför och hur ett genusperspektiv på naturvetenskaplig forskning ska kunna anläggas. Och det här har alltså Vetenskapsrådet beviljat 11 miljoner. Va? Hon kanske blir rektor för Uppsala universitet. Jag var ju lektor där i höstas. Jag hade ett lektorsvikariat där i höstas.
Det viktigaste. Jag kan själv välja om jag vill gå på teatern eller inte. Men däremot tycker jag det är fel om man ska tvinga elever att gå dit.
Paula? Alltså jag skulle tycka det var väldigt roligt om denna rörande omsorg om ungas väl och ve kunde riktas lite grann mot det kvinnor utsätts för i all populärkultur.
They run off every day to be indoctrinated by a public school system that tells them that they need to calm down and sit down and shut up, not take the lead. How dare you display energy of any sort?
Man inbillar alla barn att de är offer för strukturer, offer för något annat. Man är
a large majority of them, girls were ahead of boys. And they concluded, quote, "There is evidence that the female advantage in school performance is real and persistent." Now, what are their findings? The National Association of Education Progress provides a very objective picture of how kids are doing. And what you find is there has been for years a large and growing gap favoring girls in reading and writing. And that gap, either it's as large as it's ever been, and in some cases it's larger where writing is concerned. The average 15-year-old boy writes like a 13-year-old girl. And if you look at honors classes, valedictorians, who's winning all the prizes, it's girls, girls, girls. According to the College Board, girls now take more honors math and science programs. They are 54% girls, 46% boys. And then you get out of the math and science, and it's just girls prevail. Something like English and foreign language, it's 61, 62% female. What about college? U.S. Department of Education data show that today 50% of the bachelor's degrees, 59% of masters, and 50% of doctorates go to women. And according to their projections, by 2020, this college gap favoring girls is going to become a chasm. If current trends continue, the last male will graduate from college in 2068. Now, so what is the government doing? We have this gap. It's growing. There has been a massive and much celebrated effort to strengthen girls in math and science. In all areas. We had massive numbers of self-esteem programs. We took our daughter to work. Everybody read Reviving Ophelia. And girls were classified in the mid-90s as an underserved population, and we passed the Gender Equity Act, which counted them as discriminated against minority. So anyway, millions and millions of dollars have been spent to improve girls' achievements. Where are the dollars for boys? For the reading gap, the writing gap, the college attendance gap, the I don't care about school gap. Far more boys than girls from the earliest age just don't care about it. And it's very hard. It's an art to interest the typical little boy in school. 1970, 1980, they're equal in number. And then the women start going this upward trajectory, and the men just go nowhere. Do you shut up, shut your doors, and declare victory and go home? That isn't what happens. The AAUW, if anything, the American Association of University Women, is angrier today than ever. Their polemics, their language, their rhetoric, I'll quote them in a minute, you'll see for yourself. Boys in all groups are at greater academic risk, but they get very little attention. Now, as I said, not everyone agrees with my analysis. Some say the problem is manufactured. It's part of a continuing backlash against women and girls. I don't know what would count as evidence. A friend of mine once said that, when colleges are, 60% women, what if they become 70%? What if there are no men at all? Will that be fair? Will that finally be fair? And because our colleges now are 60% women, and by all projections, this is going to grow 57 to 60 to 65 on many college campuses. But they still have women's centers where women are treated as the oppressed sex. If you look at a school like Bloomsburg State University, which is largely students from the white working class, it's, I think the graduating class last year was 61% female. Something is wrong here, and the question is, what can we do about it? Now, one thing I will tell you is if you ask the gender scholars, their solution for them is that, well, it's something with masculinity. We have to change boys' masculinity. And for years there were efforts. It was actually kind of sad, because the boys would not cooperate, but there were these massive efforts to make the boys play more like girls.
Unge velger mer tradisjonelt I dag enn for 15 år siden.
Ja, det det som paradokset, ikke sant? Det rart.
Veldig rart.
Det jo et mysterium. Og jeg tenker, hadde jeg hatt forklaringen på det?
Myndighetene har I flere år forsøkt å rekruttere mannlige sykepleiere og kvinnelige ingeniører. Kristin Mile har jobbet som likestillingsombud, og hun har opplevd at disse tiltakene egentlig ikke har forandret så mye.
Du får en sånn, kanskje 1 års eller 2 års effekt, og så dabber det liksom av igjen.
Så hvorfor det sånn? La oss først utelukke noen forklaringer. Det ikke diskriminering som sådan?
Nei, det tror jeg ikke så mye av.
Tidligere barne- og likestillingsminister Anniken Huitfeldt kan avkrefte at dette handler om at jentene dårligere naturfag.
Jentene gjør det bedre enn gutter I alle fag unntatt gym.
Så hvorfor det så få damer som vil jobbe med ingeniørfag og teknikk?
Virker kjedelig.
Men vil også jobbe med sånn datating og lage noen systemer. Det en faglig utfordring det også?
Ja, men det ikke så spennende som å møte mennesker I hverdagen og prate. Nei, jeg synes ikke.
Hvis man behandlet gutter og jenter likt fra starten av, så ville de få like interesser også. Ja?
Ja, det blir jo på en måte implikasjonen av det jeg sier. På en måte implikasjonen av det jeg sier. På en måte implikasjonen av det jeg sier.
Hvis gutter og jenter hadde blitt møtt med like forventninger, så ville forskjellene I interesser forsvinne også. Tenker du at dette så plastisk at du kan finne samfunn hvor ting byttet om?
Altså, det mener jeg, en grunnlære, mener jeg nesten også, ikke sant? Vi som du sier, plastiske og bevegelige. Det ingen grenser for hva menn kan gjøre eller kvinner kan gjøre I forhold til det som det viktige, nemlig oppførsel, emosjonalitet, adferd, evner vi har.
Bjørg, Randi og Signe sveisere på Rosenberg Verft I Stavanger.
Ja, det klart, kvinner og menn kan gjøre hva som helst, hvis de virkelig vil. Jeg drar til Arbeidsforskningsinstituttet og møter forskningsleder Katrine Egeland, som har skrevet flere forskningsrapporter om menn og kvinners yrkesvalg. Ofte så leser man populærvitenskapelige resultater at menns hjerne sånn, kvinners hjerne sånn. Hva tenker du om det?
Det vet jeg ikke. Jeg vet ikke om det noe I det. Men det påfallende hvor interessert man I å finne den type forskjeller.
Du ikke så interessert I den type forskjeller?
Nei, veldig lite interessert I det.
Så det ikke relevant å se på sånne hjerneforskjeller for å forstå hvorfor menn oftere blir ingeniører og kvinner oftere blir I omsorgsyrker?
Nei, det synes jeg ikke. Eller det... Nei.
Hei, bra. Hei. Fast håndtrykk. Detektivarbeidet fører meg videre til kjønnsforsker Jørgen Lorentzen ved Senter for tverrfaglig kjønnsforskning ved Universitetet I Oslo. Når man leser sånn om undersøkelser at menn og kvinners hjerner ulike, hva tenker du da?
Da tenker jeg at det gammeldags forskning. Mesteparten av den type forskning også tilbakevist I senere undersøkelser. De fleste snakker ikke sånn lenger om at hjernen skrudd sammen på forskjellige måter.
Forskjellen mellom gutter og jenter egentlig bare kjønnsorganet?
Nei, altså bryster og hår og høyde og muskelmasse og en del andre ting, ikke sant? Men alt utenom det da, ingen forskjell.
Følelser?
Emosjonalitet, ja. Følelser.
Interesser.
Intelligens, altså kapasitet.
Likt.
Ja, I utgangspunktet likt, ja.
Norske kjønnsforskere tror ikke medfødte kjønnsforskjeller relevant for å forstå hvorfor gutter og jenter interessert I litt forskjellige ting. Men jeg lurer på, hvis vi født like, hva da med undersøkelsen til Camilla Schreiner?
Det viser jo at kjønnsrollemønsteren sitter ganske sterkt blant barn og unge fremdeles.
Lorentzen mener at gutter og jenter tar opp I seg omgivelsens forventninger til hva gutter og jenter skal gjøre.
Altså man håndterer gutter og jenter systematisk forskjellig fra dag 1.
The more you free people in society, the more you open opportunities for people to do anything they want, the more likely it is that any kind of genetic predisposition they have will be able to express itself.
In the gender egalitarian countries like Norway, you really are free to follow your inclinations. You know, in a poor country, you're probably worried just about getting a job. You just want a job. And if it's computers that are going to get you that job in India, for example, you'll go for it, even if you're a woman. But, you know, in gender egalitarian countries, North America and Europe, I think people feel freer just to pursue what they're truly interested in. And my point is, men and women are interested in somewhat different things.
Kanskje dette løsningen på likestillingsparadokset? I et fritt og likestilt samfunn vil menn og kvinner bli ulike fordi de får anledning til å dyrke sine særegne interesser. Før jeg drar hjem igjen til Norge, lurer jeg på hvordan Anne Campbell vil reagere på kjønnsforsker Jørgen Lorentzens teorier.
Så forskjellen mellom gutter og jenter egentlig bare kjønnsorganet. Altså, alt som ikke har med det reproduktive systemet å gjøre, for å si det sånn da. Det er ikke bare den der nede. Alt utenom det, nei, altså bryster og hår og høyde og muskelmasse og en del andre ting, ikke sant? Men alt utenom det da, ingen forskjell.
Følelser.
Emosjonalitet, ja. Følelser. Interesser. Intelligens, altså kapasitet.
Likt.
Ja, I utgangspunktet likt, ja.
Amazing?
Absolutely amazing. I'm astonished that someone could say that. I guess the question I would pose is, where do bodily differences come from? Where do the differences between men and women's reproductive systems come from? Evolution, I'm sure, would be the answer that most social scientists would give. And what orchestrates those bodily differences? What is responsible for the production of hormones and peptides that keep everything going? The human brain, mostly, yes, through feedback systems. It seems to me quite extraordinary that you could imagine that evolution has operated on the reproductive systems and has had absolutely no effect at all on our brain, the single most expensive organ that we have in the body.
Thank you very much. This was very, very, very interesting. Maybe we're going to show some of these clips to Norwegian researchers.
And get them to react.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Yes,
in an endless...
Yeah, an endless cycle of reflection. Oh, they'll go mad. Some of the things I'll be like, wow, they'll go absolutely crazy.
Det de engelske forskerne sier jo åpenbart veldig på kollisjonskurs med det de norske kjønnsforskerne påstår. Så nå gleder jeg meg veldig til å dra tilbake til Norge igjen og høre med de norske kjønnsforskerne hva de mener om disse funnene. Først møter jeg forskningsleder på Arbeidsforskningsinstituttet, Katrine Egeland, og viser henne Simon Barrons forskning på nyfødte. Og jeg forteller henne om Trond Disets studier som viser at gutter og jenter foretrekker forskjellige leker allerede ved 9 måneders alder. Hva tenker hun om Disets funn?
Jeg tenker at når han observerer dette her, så ser han det han litt ute etter det. han är ute efter att det är könsforskjeller och att de är medfødt.
Ok, så han finner det han leter etter på en måte?
Ja, det tror jeg han gjør. Jeg synes det er interessant å se hvor mye energi man kan bruke på å prøve å forklare. For eksempel sånn som kjønnsforskjeller biologisk.
Men jeg føler at disse sier jo det er et element av biologi her, og selvfølgelig samfunnskultur, mens du er bare på samfunnskultur.
Ja.
Og når du ser den forskningen på 1 dag gamle babyer, om det forandrer deg ditt syn på at lik behandling av gutter og jenter ville føre til at de får like interesser?
Nei, det endrer ikke på det, nei.
Hva er på en måte det vitenskapelige grunnlaget ditt for å si at biologi ikke spiller noen rolle når det gjelder menn og kvinners ulike yrkesvalg?
Mitt vitenskapelige grunnlag? Jeg har nok et ganske, det du ville kalle, et veldig teoretisk utgangspunkt. Altså, biologi får liksom ikke plass der for meg. Altså, ja. Og jeg synes nettopp også at samfunnsforskning der skal utfordre tenkning som baserer seg på at forskjeller mellom mennesker er biologiske, da.
Er det samfunnsforskningens oppgave å utfordre biologisk tenkning? Bør ikke forskning heller prøve å finne ut hvorfor ting er som de er? Er det ikke en fare for at Egeland bare ser det hun er ute etter, hvis hun på forhånd har bestemt seg for at biologien ikke har noen betydning? Hva med forsker på Senter for tverrfaglig kjønnsforskning, Jørgen Lorentzen? Synes han dette er noe interessant?
Amazing? Absolutely amazing. I'm astonished that someone could say that.
Det som jeg synes er fascinerende med denne vitenskapen, det er jo hvorfor er de så opptatt av å prøve å finne det biologiske opphavet til kjønn. Altså hvorfor er de så frenetisk opptatt av kjønnsforskjellene?
Men når du sier at det ikke er noen medfødte forskjeller mellom jenter og gutter som forklarer deres ulike interesser, hva baserer du det på?
Altså jeg må jo forholde meg til vitenskapen, ikke sant? Jeg skal prøve å si noe om hvordan ting er og hva som henger sammen her. Og så langt så har ikke vitenskapen klart å vise at det er en genetisk opphav til kjønnsforskjeller. Utover det som har med det reproduktive systemet.
Nei, for du anerkjenner jo ikke at de undersøkelser på en måte viser det på... Og det er på en måte greit, men...
Fordi de har en missing link. Harald, de har en missing link.
Ja, men hvordan vet du at det ikke er noen medfødte? Det er det jeg ikke forstår.
Nei, men jeg sier at i det øyeblikket de klarer å vite...
Ja, men du har jo sagt at det ikke er noen viktige medfødte forskjeller når det gjelder følelser, interesser, sånne ting. Hvordan vet du at det ikke er noen...
Nei, la oss si det sånn at min hypotese er at det ikke er noen forskjeller. Vitenskapen har ikke bevist at det er noen forskjeller, ikke sant? Og da må jeg jobbe ut fra det kunnskapsnivået. Altså,
men du antar at det ikke er noen forskjeller inntil det motsatte er bevist, på en måte?
For eksempel, ja.
Ja, men det er interessant. Og dette er ikke noen gode peker ikke i den retning?
Dette er svak, vil jeg kalle svak forskning, ja. Jeg vil det.
Ja, er alt det de andre gjør svak forskning? Jeg spør meg, hadde Lorentzen syntes dette var like svakt hvis det passet bedre med hans teorier? Lorentzen sier at de andre forskerne er frenetisk opptatt av å finne biologiske årsaker til kjønnsforskjeller, men jeg oppfattet ikke dem som så veldig frenetiske. De mente jo ikke at alt handlet om biologi. Tvert imot, det var de norske kjønnsforskerne som mente at ingenting handlet om biologi. Hvorfor er de så skråsikre? Og er det så farlig om det er noe biologisk her? Men viktigst, kan man som forsker virkelig forstå verden hvis man ikke tar alle muligheter i betraktning?
It's a very moderate proposal to say it's a mixture of biology and culture. I'm not saying it's all biology. I'm simply saying don't forget about biology.
Problemet är att här i Sverige och i västländerna har man lyckats liksom hjärntvätta folk och så här få tyst på folk. I Östeuropa så vet folk att allt det här är bara bluff och båg och skit, men de vill gärna ha EU-pengarna. Så man lyckas ändå. Så är det. Så man får angripa det på olika sätt beroende på vilket land man befinner sig i då. Så ja, man måste ta hänsyn till den rådande mentaliteten och Sverige är ett ganska extremt fall så det gäller att gå sakta fram. Men
We have done away with male role models in the elementary school system. Fathers get routinely screwed over in custody cases, and thanks to ye old sperm bank, women can make a conscious decision to render fathers obsolete too. Indeed, a woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle.
Vissa män är så pass förtryckta så de knappast själva vet om det.
Jag tycker jämställdhet är bra, det är klart att alla vill ha jämställdhet och så vågar man inte säga nej, för att om man säger nej till något som har med genus att göra, då blir det att du är emot jämställdhet och så vidare.
Sometime in their life will be a victim of domestic violence. You don't.
What Theresa May is not saying
to that
is 1 in 4 women and 1 in 6 men. 2 women die every week.
So they need to be separated for
but
both
one woman,
parties.
1 man dies. Well,
you had to leave the country for quite a long time, didn't you?
Well, because what I'm saying now, there were huge pickets against me, and I was threatened. Yes, for daring. This is $1 million industry, domestic violence, and the women who control it are not about to let any kind of evidence in that's going to take away the money.
What do you mean by that?
They're not going to share the money with anybody.
But why do you describe it as $1 million industry?
Because it is. It's you know,
in what way?
The National Federation of Women's Aid gets something like 12 million from the government, let alone all the rest of it.
So you're saying they're manipulating the government in order to
and what they always have. This was hijacked in 1974. And what I'd said from the very beginning, which is that it isn't a gender issue, it's an issue of learned pattern of behaviour in childhood, was actually superseded by a very highly efficient machine called the feminist movement, which simply claimed it's what all men do to all women.
So you're suggesting that generally women are manipulating the system in order...
Yeah, because everybody knows, and the figures have been there for years, the worst violence is between two women.
Okay. Thank you very much indeed, Erin Fizzy. Thank you.
Under senare år har ROX uppnått status av en organisation få politiker vågar ifrågasätta. Huvudkontoret i Stockholm har framgångsrikt lyckats föra ut bilden av ROX som den främsta experten på våld mot kvinnor. En uppgift som kommer härifrån har stor chans att snabbt bli en sanning.
Jag upplevde otroliga hatet gentemot män och vad män står för.
Så vi är verkligen en kamporganisation. Och vi är en opinionsbildare och vi är en feministisk rörelse som inte tänker tystna.
Stått upp och sjungit häng alla männen och döda alla männen, och där jag gick ifrån och var djupt chockad alltså.
Det finns en sån tudelad uppfattning att kvinnor är bra och män är dåliga. Man ska tro på kvinnor men inte på män. Alltså en svartvit. Lite biologisk inställning.
Förklaringen är alltid att männen är överordnade kvinnorna. Att bekämpa alla analyser som inte ligger i linje med detta könsmaktsperspektiv är för ROX något av det viktigaste i den feministiska kampen. 1998 utsågs Margareta Winberg till jämställdhetsminister, och det blev hennes uppgift att komma vidare i arbetet mot kvinnomisshandel. ROX och regeringen var överens om att männens makt är orsak till våldet och måste bekämpas. Och med Margareta Winberg som ordförande fick ROX chansen att flytta fram sina positioner och se till att rådet utgick från deras perspektiv. Margareta Winberg var väl införstådd.
Män vill ha makt över kvinnor. Och mäns våld mot kvinnor är ett uttryck för att ha och bibehålla denna makt.
We need to look at a therapeutic approach to domestic violence, because it's not what we generally think, which is patriarchy, what all men do to all women. The majority of men do not lift a finger to women. What this is a learned pattern of childhood. If you're born and raised in a violent family, this is how you know to behave, whether it's boys or girls.
Är det ett krig?
Ja, det tycker jag. Ibland kan jag säga så här att det här är vi har ett inbördes världskrig. Och det är ett könskrig. Nu ska vi göra det här, när man känner så där ibland, ni vet. Men vi har ändrat oss lite och så sa vi till slut så här, moraknivar, skulle det kunna vara något man kan dela ut? Nej, det är ingen bra idé. Men nu satt vi här och lekte lite sax. Sen kan man göra vad man vill med dem. Klippa pappersstockar eller...
Lorena Bobbitt
whose initial statement to police, according to the New York Times, was, "He always have orgasm and he doesn't wait for me to have orgasm. He's selfish. I don't think it's fair, so I pulled back the sheets and then I did it." She was hailed as a national folk hero, an obviously terrorized battered woman striking back at her oppressor. Never mind that there was plenty of evidence of reciprocal violence in that relationship. Never mind that he was in the process of leaving her, and that they'd been discussing a divorce. The feminist narrative reared its ugly head before any of the details were known, and the case was crammed into that model in the public consciousness, complete with a rape accusation that could not be proven in a court of law, and a story that repeatedly changed gears from Bobbitt's initial statement onward to fit the dogma of a domineering, abusive husband and terrified cowed wife. Before she'd even cried abuse, the feminists of North America picked her up on their shoulders, a display of sisterly solidarity with a violent offender that culminated in carnival-style demonstrations outside the courtroom, including the dispensing of cocktail wieners slathered in ketchup, t-shirts extolling the sweet virtues of revenge, and feminists selling buttons nominating Lorena Bobbitt for Surgeon General. Mainstream magazines hailed her as a feminist heroine. And perhaps most disturbing, a major feminist group in Ecuador, Bobbitt's home country, not only bankrolled her defense, but threatened to castrate 100 innocent American men if she went to prison for mutilating her husband. Now, I don't see any misandry in any of that, or any kind of violent sentiment, or even terrorist leanings at all. Do you? No. I mean, feminists must be super aware of hatred and violence and terrorism, since I've been warned by well-meaning feminists that supporting men who go their own way is an act of terrorism, because MRAs sometimes use harsh or colorful language when discussing the subject. So I'm sure the vast majority of prominent feminists loudly and firmly condemned that group in Ecuador for the terrorists they are, and admonished the movement as a whole for associating with such groups. Oh wait, never mind.
Du kan inte ragga kvinnor när du dör. Du kan inte ragga kvinnor när du dör. För där uppe hos Maria där är alla kvinnor fria. Du kan inte ragga kvinnor när du dör. Macho bye bye, macho macho bye. Macho bye bye, macho macho bye. Macho bye bye, macho macho bye bye. Macho macho bye bye, macho macho bye.
Det är fest i Riksorganisationen för Sveriges kvinnojourer. Och det finns mycket att fira.
När lusten faller på, jag hatar dig du jävla man. Du tror du vet, du tror du kan. Allt om kvinnor, allt om våra liv. Men du vet inget, du tar ett jävla kliv. Snubbe, gubbe, jävla man. Bäst du börjar springa, för här ser du en kvinna som hatar dig så mycket. Vi ska slita dig i stycken.
I don't get it. I don't. It's ridiculous. I feel like I'm living in a parallel universe. I feel like every single time I talk to feminists about this issue, I'm having an out-of-body experience. That is how bizarre their minds seem to work. I'm starting to think that the psychiatric community needs to include feminism in their big compendium of mental disorders, because this is, it seems to be based entirely on delusion. So I
find it nearly impossible to believe a movement for women's rights, which sounded so noble and lofty 40, 30, even 25 years ago, has turned so ugly, vindictive, and downright destructive. Feminists have completely turned the concept of equality on its head, to where it now means discrimination and preferential treatment. George Orwell would be very proud.
En del organiserad verksamhet omkring sexuella övergrepp och rituella övergrepp, det är inte jag i tvivl om. Och att detta ofta också är kopplat till kriminaliserad verksamhet, pornografiska framställningar, vapensmuggling och en del sådana kombinationer. Det är jag också helt övertygad om. Och också att det är ett mycket större fenomen än det annars. Men det som är riktigt illa att tänka på omkring detta, det är ju alla de unga människorna och barnen som är involverade i detta här.
It was actually academics, university lecturers, young women students was the beginning of the women's movement. The most successful part of it is that at that point in the 70s, if you think about it, the majority of women who were journalists internationally were very heavy radical feminists. So they had the women's pages. And of course male journalists and male editors, seeing it as, in quotes, a woman's problem, left it to them. And very quickly there was a savage kind of censorship, and anybody who dared argue was in very serious trouble. They were very, very highly organized Marxist groups of women of one sort or another. When I remember being horrified when I saw them storming the Miss World competition, thinking to myself, how can these women talk about liberation for women and women supporting each other, and then go and bully a section of other women that they don't like because they're doing something they don't approve of. And outside, and this is in the press cuttings, there were huge demonstration with banners, and on the banners it said, all men are bastards, all men are rapists. And I asked the police, I went down and said to the police, if that was black men or Jews, you'd arrest those women. But why don't you arrest them? They just looked very uncomfortable. And one of them said, we're frightened of them. Over the 12 years that I was running the refuge, if I went to speak, there was screaming feminists outside. I tried to publish a book called Prone to Violence. We finally did get it published, but I had to have a police escort all around England, and there were death threats and bomb threats. And the final moment came for me after struggling for all those years, when the bomb disposal unit came to my house, because there was a suspect package, and said everything that came to me had to go to them first because they were concerned about my safety and the safety of my family. And that's when I left England and went into exile for something like 15 years.
Pjäsen är om män för kvinnor. Vissa humorlösa människor tar ju det här extremt bokstavligt. Det är faktiskt en stor del av verkligheten vi beskriver. Och den tar tillbaka allt förtryck som kvinnorna har varit med i genom årtusenden.
Det är teaterpjäser vi spelar, det är inte våra egna privata åsikter.
Vad tror du gör dem så skräckslagna och upprörda?
Jag vet inte, jag tycker att det är ett tecken på den strukturen vi lever i.
I was just thinking it might be useful to examine another famous shooter, one who went by the name of Valerie Solanas. For those of you who don't know, Solanas is the feminist author of the infamous Scum Manifesto, whom many feminists today have tried to characterize as a satirical work, which is yet more revisionist history right there, but I'll get to that in a minute. Another feminist told me just the other day that it was, at its heart, entirely nihilistic, calling for the end of humanity altogether. Now, I found that really interesting since the manifesto actually calls for the systemic extermination of the male sex through violent rebellion on the part of women, after which said women could live the rest of their lives in peace, at which point why would any of them want to burden themselves with children? To conclude that the main point of the manifesto was some sort of egalitarian vision of nihilism with respect to humanity as a whole is basically equating the genocidal murder of males with the free choice on the part of women to not spoil their male-free utopian existence by having children. Solanas' other claim to fame was as the person who shot and nearly killed Andy Warhol. She actually attempted to kill 3 men that day. She shot Warhol and art maven Mario Amaya, an associate of Warhol's, and then put the gun against the head of Warhol's manager, Fred Hughes, at which point the gun jammed. If the gun hadn't jammed, I really don't see any reason to believe that 3 men would not have died that day. Not as well known to most is the fact that Warhol wasn't even the man Solanas had set out to kill that day. Her intended target was her publisher, Maurice Gerodias, whom she felt had wronged her. As a condition of him publishing the Scum Manifesto through Olympia Press, which he owned, he'd required her to give him the right of first refusal on all her future work. This is like a common clause in publishing contracts, and it just stipulates that the author will bring all future or all related work to that publisher first, at which point the publisher can offer for it or decline, and the author can accept the offer or negotiate better terms or decline altogether and offer it elsewhere. It really does not give up any kind of control over an author's work. It just slows them down as far as offering it elsewhere. Now, Ms. Solanas took this agreement to mean that Gerodias now owned the copyright to all her future works. I mean, if the redundant and meandering and incoherent drivel of the manifesto itself isn't indicative enough of this woman's level of crazy and stupid, the fact that she never bothered to ask anyone what that agreement meant, either before complying with it or after, or indeed before setting out to kill because of it, that should be evidence enough of some serious deficiencies on her part. Now, when Solanas went looking for Gerodias, he wasn't at his office. For whatever reason, she decided Warhol would be a suitable stand-in to vent her spleen at men, and claimed to police at her hearing that Warhol, who had done nothing more than give her a couple of bit parts in 2 of his movies, had too much control in her life. She said he had her tied up lock, stock, and barrel and was going to do something to her that would have ruined her. So she's clearly delusional. At her hearing, she insisted she was right in what she did and had nothing to regret. After some very much needed stints in Bellevue Hospital for psychiatric evaluation, she pled guilty to reckless assault with attempt to harm and was sentenced to 3 years. She was reported at that time to be dedicating the remainder of her life to the avowed purpose of eliminating every single male from the face of the earth. And though she was aware of the feminist movement at the time, she considered them a civil disobedience luncheon club. So, in essence, even the most radical second waivers weren't radical enough for Solanas. They might hate men, they might want to liberate themselves completely from men, but they weren't prepared to eliminate all males from the face of the earth, at least not yet. So Solanas really had no time or patience for them. They were merely playing at being feminists. But as much as Solanas couldn't be bothered to associate herself with the radical but not radical enough feminists of the day, those feminists practically jumped at the chance to associate themselves with her once she flipped her nut and pulled a Sedini. Robin Morgan, a prolific feminist author who eventually became editor of Ms. Magazine, the most influential feminist rag there is, joined demonstrators demanding Solanas' release from prison. Ty Grace Atkinson, feminist author and then president of the New York chapter of Now, praised Solanas as the first outstanding champion of women's rights. Florence Kennedy, a lawyer and active member of Now who went on to found the Feminist Party and the Women's Political Caucus, called her one of the most important spokeswomen of the feminist movement. Wow.
Så du tycker det är okej att ni hyllar en bok som säger att manlighet är en bristsjukdom och att mannen är en biologisk olycka?
Fast jag vill inte kommentera liksom. Det här är ju en insändare i tidningen. Jag vill inte gå ut och kommentera och prata för hela rörelsen att den står under. Förstår du?
Men i eran tidning så har de hyllar ni det här manifestet som säger att, att män är djur och maskiner och vandrande dildos.
Ja.
Står du för det?
Ja, det står jag för.
Män är djur?
Män är djur. Tycker inte du? Tycker inte du det?
Med patriarkat är ju bara en feministisk floskel. Hur kan vi till exempel...
Och det är jobbigt att behöva erkänna för sig själv att jag ingår i en förtryckande struktur bara i egenskap av mitt kön. Det är inte så kul att fejsa det. Liksom.
Om man letar med ljus och lykta så kan man hitta dolda maktstrukturer överallt. Jag kan hitta på maktstrukturer och hitta dem var som helst om jag bara letar. Jag kan hitta dem i mitt skafferi om jag vill. Jag kan hitta dem i vilket litterärt verk som helst och fast det litterära verket handlar om något annat så kan jag få det till att det handlar om något som det inte gör. Liksom. Det kan man alltid göra tolkningar av saker.
De har fått 40 000 kronor var ungefär från Stockholms stad. Ja. Men det här att unga ska gå och kolla på det.
Jag har ju själv varit lärare i 10 års tid och har just fått inbrott från olika teaterförbund runt om. Och det är alltid en avvägning vilka man säger ja till. Och jag skulle inte gå med mina elever, framförallt pojkar i åldern 16-18 och gå senare. Det krävs väldigt mycket, som Andreas sa, förarbete och efterarbete om man ska ta till sig det här. Sen vet jag också att det är väldigt starka ord. Och varför ska mina 16-åringar höra att de ska dödas, gasas ihjäl. Det är ganska hårda ord för unga pojkar. Visst skulle det gå, säger jag, men det krävs väldigt mycket förarbete och efterarbete för att få fram det. Och jag tror också att många unga män kan ta illa vid sig.
Ja, det har ni funderat på säkert.
Ja, absolut. Först vill jag bara säga att unga tjejer får ju utstå oerhört mycket. Det räcker att gå in och köpa en Coca-Cola i en affär så ska man titta på massa folktidningar. Men det släpper vi absolut.
Ja, Valerie Solanas kompromisslösa uppgörelse med det patriarkala samhället provocerar. Skam har sagts stå för Society for Cutting Up Men, vilket ungefär betyder sammanslutning för att skära upp män. Och manifestet tolkas av en del som en text som argumenterar för kvinnans frigörelse genom det manliga könets utplåning.
Vad tror du gör dem så skräckslagna och upprörda?
Jag vet inte, jag tycker att det är ett tecken på den strukturen vi lever i. Om man letar med ljus och lykta så kan man hitta dolda maktstrukturer överallt.
Mit dem Angriff Steiners wird das alles in Ordnung kommen.
Mein Führer, Steiner konnte nicht genügend Kräfte für einen Angriff massieren. Der Angriff Steiner ist nicht erfolgt.
Juliette av Marquis de Sade som också spelas på Turteatern i höst och som även den är en pjäs om makt, men skriven av en manlig extremist verkar däremot ha passerat utan särskilt starka reaktioner, trots.
Regarding the feminist movement, what does the slogan "make the personal political" mean?
To me, that I always hated that slogan. What it really means is you take your personal damage. And one of the things that's very obvious in those very early days of the women's movement, how many of the radical women leaders of the movement themselves had really disturbed backgrounds and were very, very violent. And then you make that political. So if my dad's a shit, all men are shits. If you say that, you can do almost anything you like. You could go from the personal and make it political. So what happened is a sufficient group of women got together to complain bitterly, because you have to remember the beginning of the feminist movement was a Marxist movement. It was women in the left of the politics in Britain who decided that they had had enough of working with men on the left and were going to have their own, in quotes, movement.
Jag spelar en teaterföreställning, jag är en skådespelerska. För att citera den manliga polischefen som han sa i Svenska Dagbladet, det är tråkigt att människor i Sverige inte kan skilja på ett konstnärligt uttryck och en åsikt. Och det måste... sätt som man kanske nog inte förstår om man inte har blivit mordhotad. Intellekt. Sätt som man kanske nog inte förstår om man inte har blivit mordhotad. Intellekt.
Tagga ner och tugga i er.
Jag kommer från Moderata ungdomsförbundet och även er.
Men varför säger du så?
Tagga ner och tugga i er.
Jag kommer från Moderata ungdomsförbundet och även er.
Men varför säger du så?
Ja, Per? Det här med skattepengar är oerhört intressant. Jag är ju fullständigt övertygad om att om en pjäs hade satts upp av en man som på riktigt hade försökt döda 3 kvinnor och därefter skrivit en bok som går ut på att alla kvinnor ska utplånas från jordens yta. Den pjäsen hade inte fått ett öre i skattepengar.
Det vet
den här
inte,
teatern har skattepengar från kommunal nivå, från landsting och från staten.
Och Per,
bara för att det är så himla politiskt korrekt.
Tack, nu kommer den här debatten fort.
Den pjäsen hade inte fått ett öre i skattepengar.
Det vet
den här
inte,
teatern har...
Our new book, The Flip Side of Feminism, exposes the lies about feminism and puts young women on guard so they will not be destroyed by feminist myths. Feminism teaches women that they are victims of the patriarchy. This is so unfortunate. It's a recipe for being unhappy. Betty Friedan said that the home was a comfortable concentration camp. And Gloria Steinem said, when you get married, you become a semi-non person. The feminists were against marriage. They invited women to be independent, to go out and have a career, and to avoid marriage. And that is just simply so unfortunate. The Flip Side of Feminism is a good book for both men and women, for mothers and fathers. It tells what conservative women already know, but most men don't dare to say. And the reason is because it shows how the feminist movement has attacked men, how it's been disdainful not only of full-time homemakers, but also of fathers. It is a very good book to give to the young people in your family so they will not be misled by the media or by academia or by the women's studies courses in colleges and universities. Feminists frequently ask me, am I not grateful for all the opportunities that feminism has created for me? That's ridiculous, because I made my way long before the feminist movement got started. I worked my way through a great university, Washington University in St. Louis, got my degree in 1944. I worked my way through as a gunner on the night shift, firing 30 and 50 caliber ammunition to test the ammunition before it was accepted by the government. I didn't need the feminists to get me that job. And actually, my mother got her college degree in 1920. Those opportunities were always out there for women if they wanted them. In previous generations, the majority of women just thought building a family and being mothers and homemakers was more important. And then I published my first book, A Choice Not an Echo, in 1964. And sold 3 million copies right out of my garage. I didn't need the feminists to do that, so they didn't create any opportunities for me. Those opportunities are always there for American women, who are the most fortunate people who ever lived on this earth.
Flipside is essentially asking people to rethink the way they've been taught to think, and that is a very tall order. But we can begin to sort of open the doors to another way of looking at this issue for the first time in Flipside.
Obviously, but here's my 2 cents worth, my opinion. Women think that they want men they can control. And feminists know they want men they can control, that they can dominate. The push is to criminalize patriarchy and have a more matriarchal society. In order to do that, they have to strip men of their importance, their ambition, their leadership abilities, and instead instill those traits in females. Now, the family is falling apart. There are more single mothers now than ever. Even in the case of divorce, the wife generally gets the kids. That means that she has to take on the role of both mother and father. Now, the average mother does not have some evil scheme to turn her son into a little girl, but she simply doesn't understand males, much less raising one to be a man. Try as they might, mothers do not make very effective fathers. That's a burden that neither she nor her son should have to bear. I'm saddened very much when I see, anywhere I go, you see these single moms and frustrated single moms walking around with their little boys in tow, and they always look lost to me, little boys. There's not that strong male anchor in their life, and the only influence in their life is their mother, as far as parenting goes. In the absence of a close older male, a mentor and a role model, as a result of this twisted arrangement, little boys grow up learning to think more like and identify more with females. So in that regard, it's simply a side effect of our messed up, hook up, shack up, break up culture. Now, the feminist agenda, of course, is much more sinister, much more intentional in the feminization of males. It's about power, it's about female supremacy, and obviously their influence extends to more than single mothers. It's infiltrated our media, basically every facet of our culture, worst of all our educational system, heaven knows. If you can create a unisex society in which males are of no particular advantage, no particular use, and there's supposedly nothing that they can do which females cannot, then they're of little use or importance, and that's exactly how the feminists want them. Of course, I also believe that one of the main reasons for this prevalent attitude within feminism is because the feminist agenda, as well as the homosexual agenda, by the way, is a tool of the socialist/Marxist agenda, as I've said before, which aims to make males obsolete. Why? Well, the family unit is recognized even by communism as the foundation of a strong society. A strong family does not need the state, does not need the government. They can get by on their own. Strong parents raise their children how they want to raise them. For the state to be able to step in and control the family, especially the children, via education, aka indoctrination, they have to destroy it first. They have to break it down. How better to break it down than to remove the traditional strong male head of home and create a vulnerable environment in which the family actually does need the state to survive. By the way, I'm sure you're very familiar with the book The War Against Boys by Christina Hoff Sommers. I have yet to read the book, but I'm really looking forward to it. It looks like an excellent book.